Good morning. Hi, this is Tracy Payton. Today's webinar is on EmbroidMe Vision, and we're going to be covering CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. So we're going to go ahead here and get started. What you should see in front of you is the EmbroidMe Vision dashboard. And on the dashboard, you'll see a few things. The system is split into different areas. We have a product research area, which is located under the products dropdown. We have our projects, which this is our order management. Anything to do with the POS system. This is where you would find WIPs and sales orders, as well as if you were doing quotes and presentations. So anything to do with the order cycle. We start with creation of the new project, and then anything that you would find inside a project, such as a quote, presentation, order, sales order, PO, invoice, etc., would be found in this area. The area in which we're going to talk about today is the contacts. This is our customer relationship management area. This is where you're going to see all the customers that you have in your system, including their contacts, their additional addresses, and we'll also be talking about how you can put activities on to a customer's record as well as notes. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We also have an area called reports. So this is where you can run reports out of your EmbroidMe Vision system. There's a financial area where you have receivables. This is where you can find your royalty report and your account summary. And then finally, you have websites. This is the area of your EmbroidMe Vision where you can create company stores and manage and view your own EmbroidMe website. So as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. So we're going to go ahead here and get started. The first thing I want to show in CRM is actually the calendar feature. So before we go into a customer record, I want to show you how you can put things on the calendar. So as many of you already know, you have a calendar within the EmbroidMe Vision system. It's up here at the top right. This is not integrated with Outlook. It is a unique calendar that you have built in to the system, and it is an important part of the CRM. Here is where you could put activities onto the calendar, and these can be activities that you might want for personal use, but more importantly, the calendar allows you to put activities and tie it to a customer or a prospect. So that's the powerful part of the CRM, having the calendar built into your own POS system. So here's the calendar, as you can see here, and you can simply add an event to the calendar by clicking on Add an Event, or you can come into the actual day that you want to add an event, double click, and it will pull up that calendar entry. And it's pretty self-explanatory. You can hit the customer to tie it to a customer. And then this is going to allocate to the person that's signed into the EmbroidMe Vision system. However, if you want to allocate it to a different person on your team or within your franchise, you can use this drop down and assign it to someone else. And when you do that, this particular calendar event is not only assigned to the customer, but it's also put into the system of that person you allocated it to. So when they log into their EmbroidMe Vision system, they can see on their dashboard under tasks that there's something that they need to do. So they either need to make a phone call or they might have a meeting. So we have the allocated to area. The account area is where you can actually look up the customer. So we're going to assign it to Anaheim Little League. So we'll select this customer. And it will automatically pull up the primary contact, and we can select a category. So we'll do a meeting, and then it will have the date because we double clicked into that area, but you can assign it a date using the calendar, and then you could just highlight this and choose a time. So if we wanted to do 1 p.m., we could do that. And definitely tab through. So we'll go ahead and save this. Tab through the system. So the duration we'll just say is about an hour, and then it's ending at 2 p.m. It is important that you put an objective. So what is this meeting? The meeting is to discuss the quote given for the annual fundraiser. And then you can take an action. So before you complete this actual calendar entry or event, you could put an action and say that you did attend this meeting and such was discussed. So it allows you to put an action that you took against this particular entry. So we'll go ahead and save this. And that's going to save that meeting to the calendar. And if we hover over that meeting details, you're going to see the date, the description, and the customer name. So you can see that without having to go into that actual meeting. You just hover over it. The other thing that you're able to do is see other employee calendars. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and select an employee here, and you could put something on their calendar and tie it to a customer or something that you want them to do. Or you could just view their calendar and see what meetings and phone calls they have going on for the day. So it allows you to manage those other employees on your team or within the franchise. And this task area is summarizing what those meetings are for that day. So you can see, or pretty much not only for the day, but for the week. So you can see some of the activities and tasks there. You can see this meeting that we just put on in a few different areas. You could go back to the dashboard. So if we click on the home button, we can go back to the dashboard. And you would see this meeting now under the task area on the dashboard. And like I said, if it was allocated to someone different, it would appear here for them when they sign into their EmbroidMe Vision system. And again, if you hover over it, you'll get some more meeting details. But more importantly, this meeting now has been tied to the customer record. So we're going to go into the actual customer record itself and talk about that. So if we come into contacts and we go into customers, this is where you would see a listing of all the customers that you have in your system. And you can sort and search by the type of customer. So if it's a customer or prospect, so we'll search customers. You can also search by name, by telephone, city, state, zip code, and you can put those in there as well. So we're going to select the Anaheim Hills Little League. And if I just highlight this and I don't actually go into the record, over to the right, I can see some basic information for this particular customer. I can see the company details. And anytime you see this blue, this is a blue link. So you could click on this and it would go into their website or their email or their telephone. So if you were able to call from your computer, it would actually dial that up for you. So those are hot links anytime you see something in blue. So you have basic information for the company. You have some recent activity that you can see here. So you can see that there's a meeting going on, a priority call that took place, a quote that you gave them on 2/10, and another priority call. So you can see some activity of what's going on with that customer. It's all in one central place. And that's a really good technique or tool for a CRM feature to have. You want to keep all that data in one area. So not only do you have all their order information, you also have all their calendar and all their activities all in one place. If I was to click on more, I would see a larger listing of the activity. We're going to go in a little bit different. So before I do that, I'm going to come over here to contact details. And the one thing about our system is you can add in as many contacts as you need. So you can have a contact or a customer Little League, and then you could have a contact for the various teams. So maybe you have a contact for the AA team, that's the Dodgers, or the AAA team, that's the Yankees. So you can have multiple contacts tied to a customer. Now, if I go in actually to the customer record, and I can do that by clicking on the blue account number or the actual blue name. So if I go ahead and click into the customer record, you'll see all the information that we keep. And this is important because of the more accurate the data, is the more complete the data, the more useful the data is going to be. So you'll be able to run reports out of the system. So on the company info tab, this is your general information regarding this customer. And you can select by customer type or active customer. In this case, this is an active test customer. However, if they were a prospect, they would be a prospect until a WIP or sales order was put in place for them. And as soon as an order was placed, they would be moved over to an active customer. So you want to make sure that you add in their address, their city, their state, and the zip, especially the state and the zip, because we are looking at taxes. It pulls from a tax table. So it does look at the zip code and the state, so it knows how much to apply when it comes to sales tax and the taxes that this customer is, that can be applied to this customer. Contact tab. This is where you have your contacts for the customer. And again, as I mentioned, you can have multiple contacts. You can add new contact by clicking on this button up here in the right. And when you add in a new contact, you have that ability to designate that contact as a primary contact or a contact that's going to be responsible for billing and payments. So you can choose to default the contact. And then anytime that billing information is pulled through or accounting information, it would default to that primary billing contact. You wouldn't have to select it from the drop-down. You can have in as many addresses as you'd like. You can have different addresses for those contacts that we just mentioned, or you could have additional addresses, maybe just they have an off-site location. So you can put in addresses here, and you can just click on this alternative address add button, and that would allow you to add the address. And again, you can default the address as an invoice address or a shipping address, and then just click save. You also have a marketing suite or marketing tab within the customer record, and this allows you to group customers together. So you have a couple different areas in which you can do that. The rep code is going to pertain to the person who is working on this account. So you can allocate it to a particular rep here, or it's going to default to the rep that actually created the customer. The source is how did that customer become a customer? So this allows you to flag how that customer heard about you. Did they come through an e-blast, a marketing campaign, an expo, word of mouth, where they referred to you by another customer? So these are areas that you can capture by under source. And this drop down will be pre-populated for you by EmbroidMe. So you can have a selection here to choose from. You can also group a customer by status, and this allows you to group all your key accounts together. Maybe you're having issues with a particular account and you need to cease trading, or they're a problem account. You can also go ahead and change their status here using this drop down. And again, this will help you run reports based upon those groupings. So if you wanted to see all those key accounts or all those accounts that were problems that you need to go and collect payment from, you can do that within your system. You also can group by competitor. So if you have a customer that's AT&T, you can select and group by competitors. So you could group T-Mobile and Verizon and then run a report out of the system as saying, show me all AT&T's competitors. And then you can run a report and mark it to them. You can also sort and group by geography. This drop down is something that you can customize, and I can show you that in just a moment how you can add to this drop down. But you can group by geography. You can also group by organization and industry. So you can select the industry that your customer is in. And you also can select marketing tags. So this is good because you can select customers or group customers by their buying trends. So maybe this customer buys apparel. Maybe this customer is a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe they buy pins, maybe they like the NFL. So you can go ahead and tag this customer according to their marketing trends or organizations that they belong to. So this drop down is something you can again edit. And you can have multiple marketing tags assigned to a customer. So you can see here that they have a few different marketing tags on this particular customer. Holiday order, they're a networking member, they belong child high school. So you can go ahead and put as many marketing tags as you need to group that customer. Other things that you'll see in the customer record are the payment info. This is pretty straightforward. It's where you have your payment terms. It's going to pull the sales tax based upon the address. However, if there is something special about this customer, maybe they're a reseller, you can go ahead and select a different tax area for them. You can also put them on account or put them receiving credit card and so forth. If they are a problem account and they need to be placed on hold or cease trading, you can flag them as well here. And then again, you can run a report out of the system to see that those accounts that are on hold. You can also add a note to the customer record. And this is a general customer note, not a project note. Many times you'll have a customer that might need invoices in duplicate, or you might need to make a mention of when the owner's birthday is, so you could send them a little something, a thank you note. You could also put a note in here that says, maybe their FedEx account number that they want you to use on the POs. So you can go ahead and add in anything that's general that pertains to the customer. There are project notes that you can put against a project, so a specific order, and that's in a different area of the system. But this is referring to a general customer note. So you can just go ahead and click in there and type in that note. And then if you move to the Activities tab, as I showed you earlier, you had that little caption off to the right-hand side that showed you some of the activities for that customer. If you go into More, or if you go into the customer record and hit Activities, this is where you can see a more detailed list of what's going on with this customer. So you can see all the calendar events and what was discussed. So if you had a phone call, what did you talk about and who was that phone call with? You can also see all the projects. So any project, any time that you placed an order for this customer, you can see that here. You can see the quotes that you sent out. You can see the WIPs or the sales orders. And this is good because if they are a repeat order, they can go ahead and just select the sales order and copy it, and you can repeat that order. Here's all the invoices that you have for this customer. And then again, you also have within the customer record, which is quite powerful, is you can store all the different documents, whether it be the art file, the stitch file, whether it be a PDF or an Excel file. You have that ability to store all those files in the customer record. Now the files are uploaded against the project, and then they are pulled through to the customer record. So any project that you do and you put a logo for a specific project, maybe you're dealing with the high school and you have a project for the cheerleading squad or the water polo team, and each of those projects have a different logo or maybe document or artwork. As you add that to the project, it will automatically pull to the customer record. So if you want to reference anything that you've done for this customer, you can come in here to the Files tab, and it will show you all the files from all the projects. So it's a pretty powerful tool. And then the last thing that you have against the customer record is you can upload a customer logo. And this is a logo for virtual sampling. It's also a logo that appears on the documents that you send out to the customer. So to do that, you can come in here and you can upload a logo. And when you're uploading a logo in this area, it's just usually a JPEG, a PNG, or a GIF format. So you can just go ahead and upload, and it's going to allow you to browse your system, find the image that you want to upload, select that image, and you can go ahead and upload that logo. And once that logo is uploaded, it's held within your logo locker. So all your uploaded logos are found there. And if I click into my logo locker, here's my customer folder. But if I clear this folder, I can have access to all my logos. And if I want to switch that, I can switch it over to this Ace Hardware logo. I'm going to switch it back to the Cleveland Indians because it's baseball oriented. So we have the logo now held against the customer, so it will appear on any document sent out. And then once you've moved through the various tabs, and if you've made any changes, you can go ahead and save those changes to the customer record. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of information that's held in with a particular customer. We have the same information held for vendors and suppliers. So if we come in here and we look at the vendors, it's going to give you a list of all your vendors, and you have them based by gold, silver, bronze, and preferred. You can search them up here by their name or by telephone, city, state, or zip. Okay, you can also search my vendors, and those are vendors that you've added into the system yourself. So the vendors that you see that are in all, that are general vendors, are going to be vendors that we collect data for, and we have an agreement with them on the system. Your My vendors are going to be any new vendors that you add into the system. Maybe there's a custom product that you want to add, or a vendor that just you work with in your area. You can definitely add them into your system, and then you can add in their products as well. But they would be kept under your vendors, My vendors. And to add either a customer or a vendor into your system, you can come in here and create new. And that's going to prompt you through the how to put in a customer. So I do encourage that when you are creating new customers that you fill in as much information as possible, but you always can go back to that customer and edit their record at a later time. So if they are standing in front of you, you can basically just capture the general information that you need and then go back at a later time and edit their customer record. But here is where you would add in, you create new, select whether it's a customer or vendor that you're adding, whether it's a lead, and that's going to tie into your prospect database, or an active customer. And then go ahead and fill out the rest of the information here, their phone number, email address, mail address, city, state, and so forth. You also have those tags, those marketing tags here. I do encourage you to fill them out, especially since if it is a customer walking in, you definitely want to know how they heard about you. So this is where you would go ahead and make sure that you select and use these drop downs to tag that customer. And then just click save, and that'll prompt you to put that customer into the database or vendor. So that is basically as much information that we collect from a CRM standpoint against that customer record. So you have quite a bit of information there. I mentioned that you have a calendar feature that ties into that, so it will add to the activities within the customer record so that you have everything in one place. So if someone at the front counter is helping someone that walked in, but they've had further discussions with maybe the store owner or the franchisee, you have a record of what was talked about so that that front counter person can be educated on what is actually happening with that particular customer, what they're looking to order, what quote they sent out, and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Now, what I showed you is the customer record in its detail. You also have the ability that if you are helping a customer that is in front of you, you have a very easy way of adding in a customer. So one way of doing that I showed you was creating a new customer here. However, if you are working on a project and the person is in front of you, then you would just simply create your project, and then here, where it says customer, this is where you can simply add that customer. So you can add a customer as you're doing a project or a WIP. And in this case, you add the customer's information, and when you save it, it will automatically save to your customer database. but it will keep you within the project so you can move on. So in this case, if I wanted to add a customer, I could add Peyton Eatery. And I could put in my phone number. I can select the address. And you can see now when I go ahead and hit save, it'll automatically have Peyton Eatery here. And then if I come down here, I would want to add my contact. So who is my contact there? Mr. Patrick Peyton, and he's the owner. And we'll put in a phone number. And we'll put him as the primary contact. So this contact now will be added to that customer, and you'll find them within your customer database. But you don't have to leave the project, so you could just add them when you're creating the project for the customer. So that's one way, or another way of adding the customer to your database. Okay, and we're going to just go ahead and create a sales order, and then we'll go ahead and we'll give it a subject. And then what we are doing now is actually creating a new project. And for that new project, we're building a WIP or an order for them. I'm just going to go ahead and close this because this takes us a little bit off track of what we're trying to accomplish today in CRM. Okay, so we created a project here, but we also were able to create this Peyton Eatery. So if I come into customers now, and I search up here by name, Peyton, I now have Peyton Eatery as my customer. So if I need to go in and edit this customer, I can go ahead in here as well. Okay, the last thing that I want to cover before we leave is when I was in that marketing tag, I said that you had some ability to customize that drop down. So if we come up here into settings up in the top right next to the calendar, this is kind of the back end admin section of your system. And if you come up here to system drop down and you look at EME CRM settings, this is going to allow you to add to those drop downs. So under source, if I want to type in referral and save, it now has referral there. And if I want to type in another one, I could put in Expo 2013. I could save that as well. So it's assigning a code and it's adding to this drop down. So if there's some specific source that I want to group my customer by, I can come in here to settings, and under system, I can select source and add to this drop down. I also have a couple other drop downs that I can add to. I can go into industry and I could add in an industry here. So okay. And then I also can add to geography. So I could put geography. So we could say West Coast and save. So this will add to those drop downs within that marketing tab on the customer record. So it gives you a little more customization to the CRM features and how you can group your customers. So we'll come back to the vision system. So that concludes our webinar today on EmbroidMe Vision CRM. So it talked about our customer record, what is included in the customer record, how you can add marketing tags to that customer, calendar entries, activities, and notes. So I hope you enjoyed today's webinar and learned a lot, and I hope to see you on many more webinars. Thank you very much for attending.